Ohio State's played 4 games and they've given up 2 touchdowns, one of which came to Texas, and the other one came on a 67-yard pass from Ohio, where it just forgot how to play football for 2 seconds. But other than that, it's just been field goals. Field goals galore. Ohio State beats Washington 24-6 despite multiple trips to the red zone. It's funny. One side of the ball makes getting to the red zone and scoring look so hard. So does the other side of the ball, but it's positive for one side and a negative for the other side. Stefan, what's the most impressive thing about this defense right now?
I think it starts with the guys up front, and maybe that's very specific to this Washington game, because through the first 3 games we were kind of unsure of what the defensive line, what it looked like, right? Like, we had questions at defensive tackle, not Caden McDonald, but the other defensive tackle spot. We had questions about, okay, Kenyatta and Caden Curry and C.J. Hicks and Bo Atkinson. They were doing what they were being asked, but what's that look like when it's when it's different competition? What does it look like against a guy like Damon Williams? And those guys, the guys that Caden Curry said refer to themselves as the no names on the defensive line. Hello, you're making a name for yourself. Caden McDonald, you might be a first-round pick, my guy. Caden Curry, you just broke or tied.
Yeah, he broke the record for the most tackle for loss in the game with 5, and he had 3 sacks, and that's the first 3-sack game, I'm pretty sure, since Tommy Togiai had 3 sacks against Penn State in 2020.
So casually just breaking records on a night or on an afternoon in Seattle. Kenyatta Jackson just literally taking offensive linemen and being like, what if I just went around you instead of through, like, and I'm not talking about around you like spin move around him, literally like, here's a defensive or offensive lineman, here's Damon Williams, just go around and tackle him. Like, that's the kind of stuff that Kenyatta was doing. These guys are making a name for themselves, and as good as we know the secondary is, as good as we know these linebackers are, and I've been talking about Arvell Reese since I got on the beat, these defensive linemen, if they're playing at the level that we saw them play here at Husky Stadium, changes everything, because last year's secondary was really good. Last year's linebackers were really good. Why was Ohio State so dominant in the college football playoff defensively? Because Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau and Ty Hamilton and Tyleik Williams were all NFL draft picks. And that's starting to look like it's the case with this defensive line. Now, we still got questions about Edric Houston, Tywan Malone, kind of what's going on there, but I just said Caden McDonald looks like a first-round pick. He's been in mock drafts projected as a first-round pick. Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson are doing what they're doing. I don't know if they're first-round picks. Part of their situation is they had to wait so long that maybe they're kind of delayed in building their case for the NFL, but they're going to get drafted the way that at least the way that they played against Washington, and that was a difficult task against a quarterback like this, to not just contain him or limit his scrambles, but to get sacks, to get tackles for loss against this offense was a very, very difficult task. What those guys up front are doing, they ain't no names no more. And Caden Curry said that his eye black, one side it's a cross, the other side it's a ring. I haven't seen it. I guess it's just a circle, but it's supposed to be a ring to say what resemble what they're chasing this year. If that defensive line is playing like that, Caden Curry might get a second ring.
What's the most impressive thing about this defense, Andrew?
It's the guy at the top. It's Matt Patricia. I was wrong.
I mean, we were all wrong. We were all wrong, dude.
And, like, we said this after the Texas game, but, like, the thing that has been impressive to me is how disciplined they've been and how differentiated their game plans have been, and they've all worked. Ohio State's 2024 defense, which was the best defense in the country in terms of yards per play allowed 27 points in the first 4 games of the year. They played Akron, they played Western Michigan, they played Marshall, and they played Michigan State. This defense has allowed 7. This defense allowed 0. This defense allowed 9. And this defense allowed 6. That's not 27. And they played Texas and they played Washington on the road. And the thing that, I mean, look, obviously the numbers are what they are, but you were talking about the sacks. It's not that, and I don't mean this to take anything away from Caden Curry. I think there was a play where he just blew right by the tackle. But part of the reason why they were sacking Damon Williams today was because they were disciplined, and that's coaching. They didn't rush upfield and go, oh my God, I got to go get the quarterback. And it's like when, you flash red in front of a bull and it's like, all right, he's just going to go. No. They were contained. They stayed in their rush lanes. I mean, that's coverage. They stayed disciplined there. They were able to cover downfield, and Washington's got some really good receivers, as we were talking about all week. And the coverage guys did their jobs, and the defensive lineman got sacks because he was bottled up. Against Arch Manning, Matt Patricia, like, that dude was seeing ghosts. We talked about the amount of coverages that they were throwing at him, and Steve Sarkisian was like, we didn't expect any of that. Like, this defense week to week has been very, very good. And like you said, sans a coverage bust against Ohio. Washington did some things offensively today. Texas did some things offensively today. I mean, Matt Patricia has coordinated a hell of a defense in the first 4 weeks of the season, and you have to be really impressed with him because he's putting players in the right positions. And even when teams are going to score, like even when things look like, all right, you know what, good team, they're going to score a touchdown, it's fine. Ohio State's defense doesn't allow it. They had a goal line stand against Texas. They had a goal line stand today. Like, this defense has been awesome, and there's so many different levels of which you could say it, and it starts with the man at the top.
Do you understand that Washington was averaging 55 points a game coming into this game? Like, there were people yelling that Washington should be getting AP votes. Like,
They kind of might. They maybe should get AP votes. That might be like a borderline top 25 team, and you're right. And they completely shut them down.
Right, but there was like conversation that maybe they might upset Ohio State.
Yes.
Like that's we had gone so far, and we had reached the point where I'm like, are we overthinking this? Ohio State's just going to win this game by multiple scores.
I can't remember. It was. I'm looking at them right now. I know Austin and Berm had mentioned on their show that like Ohio State was only the second number one team to be favored by less than 10 points on the road, or some stat like that.
Yeah, the last time they were favored by less than 10 points against an unranked team in general was Minnesota, I believe, in like 2000, or Michigan State, one of those two teams in 2011.
Yeah. So I mean, the point is, this game traditionally doesn't have a line this low,
Right.
and it was low, which means people were thinking Washington has a chance to win.
Yeah.
And again, they were averaging 55 points coming into this game, and they scored 6 points.
Yes.
On multiple red zone trips. They scored 6 points. Matt Patricia, yes. You don't got to do it. We were all wrong. I literally was saying I hated this hire, and you are right with the defensive line. Can we give Ryan Day some credit for this?
Yeah. Expound.
4 years ago, this defense was horrid. And he made fundamental changes across the board. Like the only dude left from that coaching staff after that year, I believe, was Larry Johnson, who's still here. Even though they keep saying he's going to retire, he's still here. You brought in, yeah, you brought in Tim Walton as your cornerbacks coach. Matt Guerrieri at that point was a GA before he went to Indiana for a year. You brought in Jim Knowles. Right, you had Perry Eliano on the staff, and James Laurinaitis is at Notre Dame at that point, so like Jim Knowles is still running the room. And then you go get James Laurinaitis from Notre Dame before anybody has a chance to turn him into anything, make him a GA for a year, then you have him take over the room. You part ways with Perry Eliano to bring Matt Guerrieri back. And then the recruiting, when you first got on the beat, Andrew, in 2023, when we were in Indianapolis at Big Ten Media Days, we were asking Ryan Day questions about what the heck is going on with your defensive recruiting. How come you can't get guys?
My first day was Kingston Viliamu-Asa committing to Notre Dame over Ohio State. That was my first day on the job.
And now we live in a world where all these guys have committed since that, right? Devin Sanchez is a true freshman playing snaps out there. Riley Pellejon is playing on special teams, right? Lorenzo Styles is a converted Notre Dame wide receiver playing a significant role in your defense as a safety. Jalen McClain is a dude. Caleb Downs exists. He's still here. Arvell Reese just followed around Damon Williams and said, hey, if you run that way, I'm going to be over there with you. If you run over there, I'll be there with you too. We're going to keep meeting, and it's not going to be for a first down, my friend. Sonny Styles was a safety, and now he's a linebacker. And you just talked about the defensive line. The evolution of this defense over the past 4 years is a result of Ryan Day making the right hires, putting the right butts in the right seats, getting the right recruits, and developing them to the point that we're questioning Ohio State's offense, and Ohio State's 4-0. Think about 4 years ago, if someone would have told you Ohio State scored 24 points in the game, you'd have been like, oh, they probably lost.
Yeah.
Ohio State scored 14 points against Texas. Oh, they probably lost. But now it's like, okay, how much did the defense give up, though? We get down to the goal line, and we're like, all right, here we go again. The defense is going to get another one of these stops. And so, yeah, all the players, the coaches, all of that. But just the evolution of this defense that's gone from a unit to where can you just get out of the way long enough for this offense to be awesome to now it's allowing the offense to figure it out. And we're through the first month of the season, and we still don't know what the offensive identity is, while the defense is like, but you can't score on this, so it doesn't matter that our offense doesn't know what it's doing. And that is a credit to the man at the top, who hired these guys, right? We all questioned the Matt Patricia hire, even though Ryan Day just won a national championship. And it worked out, right? Every hire isn't great, but Ryan Day has not missed on a defensive hire since 2022. And I do think that deserves a level of credit when you look at the coaching staff he's put together on that side of the ball. We're talking about an offensive-minded head coach where his defense is better than his offense right now, and I don't even think it's close. And it's been like that for multiple years now. Ryan Day's done a great job with the hires there. They got to figure out the offense, but defensively they have figured some things out. And it doesn't matter that they changed coordinators after last year. It's still just as elite as it was a year ago. Get the text 614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. I'm Steven, that's Stefan, that's Andrew. We'll continue to talk about this defense in a positive way on Buckeye Talk, wherever you find that, but also talking about this offense and going, what the heck is going on? We have a good time. See ya.